Everyone is talking about AI tools, AI agents, and AI workflows, but almost no one explains what actually separates them. And that difference, once you see it, changes how you think about everything AI can do. Once we strip away all the tech jargon, these three concepts are actually beautifully simple.
Right now, we have a massive problem in how we talk about AI. We toss these terms around interchangeably. People see literally any system using AI and immediately assume, oh, that must be an agent. But think about it. If you ask it a question and it just answers, is that really an agent? The real difference between these systems isn't about the underlying code. It's actually about three very specific things: who does the work, how much freedom they have to operate, and the level of built-in structure. We're really looking at a spectrum of autonomy.
Let's dive into the first category on that spectrum, AI tools. Think of these as the specialists. To really get this, imagine a calculator. Would you call a calculator intelligent? Probably not. It isn't trying to solve your math problem in some broad conceptual sense. It simply performs the exact operation you gave it. Or think of a knife in a kitchen. It doesn't decide what meal you're going to make tonight. It simply cuts when you ask it to. A tool does one job perfectly, but it has absolutely zero broader understanding of your goals.
So the defining characteristic here is behavior. An AI tool possesses incredibly low autonomy. It simply waits for your input. It doesn't roam, and it definitely doesn't choose its own goals. Now, this isn't a weakness. Because it only waits for your prompt, it's highly reliable, incredibly fast, and very safe. But it's strictly limited to a specific, narrow function. Put simply, a tool responds.
Stepping up to the next layer reveals AI agents, the decision makers. Imagine hiring a highly capable human assistant. If you tell them, hey, please get this project organized, you aren't giving them one tiny operation. You're giving them a purpose. They might sort files, check schedules, or ask you a follow-up question based on what they find. Or imagine a delivery rider who suddenly hits a roadblock. They don't just stop and give up, right? They adapt and find a completely new route to the destination.
The crucial point here is the massive leap in autonomy. An agent doesn't just react once to a prompt and call it a day. It acts under a goal. It perceives the situation, makes decisions, adjusts its strategy, and keeps going. That is exactly why interacting with agents often feels a bit more alive. They manage progress and make autonomous choices when the path ahead is uncertain. Unlike a tool, an agent decides.
Zooming out even further, we reach our third category, AI workflows. These are the coordinators. Think of a commercial bakery production line. It's like a giant puzzle. One person mixes the dough, another bakes it, someone else decorates, and a final person packages the cake. Each step relies entirely on the step right before it. The true value here doesn't come from one dramatic, intelligent move. It comes from the fact that all the parts are arranged in the exact right order.
This brilliantly illustrates the concept of structure. Workflows provide the absolute highest level of control. They rely on strict coordination to ensure that the results are consistent and repeatable every single time. A workflow says, first this happens, then that happens, and finally we move to the last stage. While an agent decides, a workflow executes. So let's look at all three side by side. You can clearly see how their core behaviors contrast on this spectrum, ranging from struct control to freedom and then to structured sequencing. With a tool, you ask and it responds. With an agent, it perceives, decides, and acts completely on its own. And with a workflow, a specific trigger sets off a chain of actions that leads to a final outcome. They are three completely different ways of organizing action.
When we strip away all the hype words, we're left with a very simple behavioral map. Just ask yourself, is the system mainly answering, choosing, or coordinating? Tools are super fast, but they're narrow. Agents are wonderfully flexible, but they can sometimes drift off course. Workflows are highly organized and repeatable, but they really struggle if the conditions suddenly change.
Now here is the twist. These aren't sealed boxes. In the real world, you don't just pick one and ignore the others. You combine them. Let's go back to our kitchen analogy for a second. The tool is your kitchen knife. The agent is the cook, making decisions based on tasting the food. And the workflow? Well, that's the recipe itself, organizing the entire process. The recipe doesn't replace the knife, and the knife certainly doesn't replace the cook. They all nest together.
In practice, tools execute, agents decide, and workflows organize. An AI agent is actually rarely doing everything all by itself. It uses tools to get things done, like searching the web or crunching some math. And workflows can wrap around both of them to make complex decision-making scalable and completely repeatable.
Let's ground this nesting concept in a real-world scenario. Imagine an online business handling orders through a messaging app. First, a tool is used to extract the text details from the customer's message. That's a very narrow operation. Second, an agent steps in. It looks at those details and decides, is this order complete, or do we need to ask for their address? It handles the ambiguity. Finally, a workflow takes the confirmed order and sends it automatically to the packing and delivery systems. The tool gives capability, the agent gives judgment, and the workflow gives shape.
So our ultimate goal here isn't just to pick a trendy buzzword so we sound cutting edge. It's to deliberately choose the right operational shape based on the specific problem we're trying to solve. Because, frankly, not every problem needs an agent. And on the flip side, not every process should be a fully scripted workflow.
To figure this out, you really just need to use 3 specific questions as your compass. Whenever you encounter a new AI system in the wild, ask yourself, first, what does it know how to do? That points you right to its tools. Second, what does it get to decide? That reveals its agentic behavior. And third, what sequence is already built in? That outlines its workflow.
It all comes down to this one profound realization. A tool waits, an agent decides, a workflow executes. Knowing exactly which behavior you need is the absolutely crucial first step to actually using AI intelligently, rather than just throwing technology at a wall and hoping it sticks. Now that you can tell a tool from an agent from a workflow, the next question is, how do multiple agents work together? Because when agents start coordinating with each other, that is when things get genuinely interesting.